or part 3. This is the first one, as you can see from the slide there. So I just want to give you a very quick overview. So APRU is a nonprofit network of 50-something leading research universities in the Pacific Rim, and the Secretariat is located in Hong Kong. And the Global Health Program is housed at the University of Southern California in Los Angeles, which is where I am. We have a number of activities and events. This series, Teaching in Virtual Environments, is organized by the University of Oregon and our Global Health Working Group on Education and Technology. I also wanted to let you know we have a conference, a virtual conference. This year, the theme is urban health, and that will be taking place in November. And one other thing I would like to alert you to is for those of you who teach, which I assume all of you do since you're here. So we have our annual virtual global health case competition. We are now signing up teams. It's really exciting event, very practical, where teams of 4 to 6 students are given a challenge, and they have 10 weeks to create a response outlining a hypothetical program to that challenge, and they record a 10-minute video, which is then judged by our international panel of expert judges. We choose 3 finalists, and those finalist videos are actually screened at our annual conference, and we choose a winner there. So I can put the details in the chat, but I would love to have this information disseminated. Students say it's really a wonderful learning opportunity to use their classroom skills in a much more practical, applied kind of way. And the competition actually starts on April 2nd, and registration is now open. So that's all I wanted to say today in terms of introductions as far as that goes. Also, we did confirm our final speaker for this series. So we'll be telling you more about that later. But so let me go ahead then and introduce you to our facilitators for this evening. So the topic for this evening is supporting students beyond the classroom, which I'm very excited to learn how to do that myself. So I'd like to welcome our 2 facilitators. First, Ellie Vandegrift is the program director for the Global Science Education Initiatives in the Division of Global Engagement at the University of Oregon. Trained as an ecologist, Ellie has taught university level life sciences courses, led STEM education professional development programs, and supported curricular and pedagogical reform to make science interesting, engaging, and relevant to improve students' learning experiences. And you can check out, she's won numerous awards, and she has her email and website on the program and on the website, and I can put that in the chat as well. And then our second facilitator for this evening is Dr. Catherine Shao, who is a teaching associate at the Office of the Dean of Engineering at the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology. Prior to this, she worked at the Center for Learning Enhancement and Research at the Chinese University of Hong Kong. She has a PhD degree in computer science and engineering, but currently focuses her work on research on postgraduate student education. And again, please take a look at her full bio on the website. But thank you so much to both of you for joining.
Thank you, Melissa, for that lovely introduction. I have to say the student competition and case sounds so cool. I hope lots of students participate this year. Well, I wanted to tell you our goals for this session. I noticed some new names that I have seen before and some who are new, so welcome to everyone. We have two big overarching goals for today. One is to provide pedagogical, technological, and peer support to faculty across the APRU network and globally beyond the APRU network as well, who are teaching remotely. And the second is to create opportunities for affiliated faculty to connect and share resources and network with each other. Our format for today will include 3 sections. We'll have approximately 30 minutes of panel discussions where Catherine and I will share examples from our universities. And then approximately 30 minutes for small group discussion with some questions that we'll provide you. And then about 30 minutes we'll come back together and share what your conversations have been in those small groups and think about how we can apply what we've learned here today. We have all had a lot of Zoom meetings, but today I am going to ask you to do some chat questions right at the beginning. We've already started with the chat. Feel free to take notes on anything that is exciting to you or that you would like to try out in your experiences with students. I think everyone knows by now that the audio controls for Zoom are in that lower left-hand corner for video and audio. Especially when we go into the small groups, we encourage you to turn on your video and audio if you're able so that you can participate in the conversation. And we'll use breakout rooms. We don't have any Mentimeter or text on slide today, but sometimes we do. All right, so in the chat, I would like to ask if you could answer this question and think about what types of support do your students need outside of the classroom? So this could be really large scale supports or it could be very specific individualized supports. But what kind of support do your students need outside of the classroom? Okay, Melissa has typed mental health. I see several people have typed internet. I wrote learning skills, which is actually be the basis for my conversation today. Library access, more internet. They need help doing the assignments, okay? And that can come in many forms, not knowing where to get started or getting stuck and not sure how to continue. Oh, Catherine writes, considering different time zones. This may be true for your universities. We have many international students who have gone home or were unable to enter the United States. And so we might be across 16 time zones from our students. Emotional support, learning how to study and how to manage time. Yang writes challenges with group work. There's so many levels with that. What do you do if a group is working really well, but even more so, how do you manage that when a group work falls apart? Tracy writes mental, moral, friendly, and technology support, teaching support. Victoria writes help with virtual labs, self-learning, a student engagement, someone to talk to, Arlinda writes. More student engagement, and then information sourcing skills and support with the learning management system. Okay, great. So the information sourcing skills, I'm imagining that could be library research, or it might be knowing when you read something, how to know if it's a real accurate information. This is a really wide range of challenges and support that our students need. We will talk about some of these, but not all of these in our 2 presentations. So I encourage you after we break into small groups to spend some time talking about the issues that are really critical to your students. What I'm going to share with you for a few minutes is about a student resource kit that I helped design at the University of Oregon in the fall of 2020. When we realized that students were going to be remote for the entire quarter, we're on a 10-week quarter system, our president's office asked that we design an online resource that was originally going to only be offered to the 5,000 first-year students, but then it was eventually offered to all 17,000 undergrads on our campus. And the idea was this, that many of our students had not been in online classes before. It might have been feel really outside of their comfort level. And so we wanted to provide a one-stop place where students could get resources. I was brought into this project because in a former part of my career, I used to teach a study skills class specifically for science students at the university. So when we thought about this, we thought about topics that students really struggle with. And some of these came up in the chat. Time management seems to be a big one. Understanding the cognitive science behind learning. Reading becomes a big challenge for students, along with that note taking. A lot of our students say that they're struggling with procrastination and motivation, which often seem to go hand in hand. Finding appropriate resources was also something that we did, thinking about library resources and how do you read through, again, is something real, is it not real? And then we also found that students are struggling with creating goals. What's the etiquette around online learning? What do you do if you're in a time zone difference than your faculty member? How to prepare for tests, how to reduce test anxiety, and that wraps into thinking about how to study for a finals plan, planning for finals. In each one of these segments, we had an overview, we had some main points for students, an opportunity built in for reflection, some strategies for applying it to their courses, and then an opportunity to check their understanding with 2 or 3 knowledge questions. So I want to give you just kind of a sample of what this looked like. So this was an overview page for the section on how to learn effectively. And we gave the learning objectives for that particular section. And then we talked about the main points. So in this one, for example, I was talking about an intensive study session, which is a time thing of 2 minutes planning, 50 minutes studying, a 10-minute break, and then 2 minutes of review. In these, we tried to think about very succinct, practical information that a student could take and apply it in their classes right away. I also recorded a series of videos. I mentioned to you that I used to teach study skills, and a lot of what I did was work with students one-on-one in my office hours. So students would come in and they would share that they had a particular problem. They were really studying with time management or test taking, and I would talk with them, and there were some common challenges that students shared. So my little videos are designed to be an office hour with a student, just a quick 5-minute or 6-minute trying to be a friendly voice of supporting students knowing that they were struggling. We also offered additional resources. Not everything can go on a website, but if a student wanted to learn more. And then we had reflection questions built in, and all of them have something like this. How do you study? What did you learn on this site? What do you want to try out? And then we gave some strategies for how they could immediately apply it in their course. So this one talks about that intensive study session, get into the habit of trying it out, or get comfortable with struggling, trying to normalize many of the experiences that students were having around learning being hard and learning in a pandemic being especially difficult. And then again, I mentioned that we had a couple of check your understanding questions that gave feedback. So for example, if it said, if a student answered true or false on this, they would get feedback. This was set up on our learning management system. It is available to U of O students. We've temporarily made it open to anyone who wants to look at it, with an idea that we wanted students to get there and be able to use it. So I just want to give you 4 kind of takeaways that we have found from this. The first is that getting the information to students has been really challenging. Students are bombarded with information. We have found that a weekly email, a weekly Instagram post has increased the awareness a little bit. But we think that students, when we talk to students, it's on a part on Canvas that many students don't go. They've never had a resource like this before, so many students don't know to look for it. The second challenge that we have found through our evaluation is that students don't always want to admit that they need support. So it's kind of a special type of student who's going to use a resource like this. It's number one, a student who admits that they need support, and number two, wants to go to the effort to get the support that they need. Our evaluator has said it's kind of like telling students to eat their vegetables. They know that it's good for them, but they may not actually want to do it. The third thing that we've discovered is students have great ideas about other things they want to see here. They want more about how to interact with their faculty. They want more about how to work in a group. And they want more about mental health resources so that if they are looking for something, they have one place to go. Now, some of those resources exist in other places on the university, but they're not all in one site. And then the fourth thing is that I think our advisors are actually the most excited about this, and our faculty. Many faculty have taken assignments from this, for example, the time management skill, and they've put it into their class. And so students go into the class and they have to do the time management section and then write about it in their content class. So our Italian professor, for example, is doing that. And our biology professor was having them work through one of the study skills for tests, because that was a place that students were really struggling. So we plan to continue this year. I imagine that it'll continue into the future, but it's been a really kind of exciting process to develop a resource that's available to all students that they can use at any time they need it outside of the class to really support the learning that's happening for them right now. Okay, I'm going to stop my share right now. And Catherine, I'll open this up for you so you can share your screen. Oops, I keep clicking the wrong button. Okay, Catherine, you should be able to share.
Yeah. Thank you, Ellie. Thank you, Ellie. Thank you, Melissa, for your invitation. And so I'm going to share some small actions we have done in the past 12 months for our students. See, okay, so our experience with the students in the past 12 months is consistent with what the literature has mentioned, like our students' lack of motivation for remote learning, because we met a group of elite students. They were supposed to be very proactive, but when we met them, they were so passive, so dependent, and we got really worried. And I haven't seen my students for almost a year and a half. That was very sad. Students cannot meet each other. So after reading the literature, we found that this feeling, our experience is kind of really, I mean, just the same all over the world most of the time. Also, according to the National College of Health Assessment from the United States, these two factors that are directly related to the pandemic are still on the top of the list of the factors causing students distress and affecting their academic performance. So when Ellie and Melissa talked to me about this webinar, I try to think about what I have done in the past 12 months and whether what we have done is useful enough. So I matched the work done by me, by my colleagues, by my university to this framework, which suggests staff and faculty to provide coaching, caring, and peer collaboration to the student to maintain an interpreted learning environment, and also provide emotional, mental, and informational support to maintain continuity in our relationship with the students. And the good thing is that our work has covered all these aspects, but in certain aspects we can do better and we can do more. So here are some actions we have conducted in the past 12 months. My role is kind of special. I work at the school level, and this school has different departments. So my main job is to support research students' education. That is why I got this advantage to insert this component into my class. So I'm a teacher, but I'm not a counselor. However, due to the special role, I am allowed to input this component into one of my class, just 20 to 30 minutes to let our students know how to cope with their stress and anxiety caused by this uncertain time. Just give them some quick tips, no theory, no framework, some quick tips they can immediately apply into their real life. And also tell them what kind of support that we're providing, so that especially new students, they know even if they cannot meet us in person and they just got into this new city, but we still got the support 24/7 for them. Besides that, I try to make some individual connections with some of our students. It started with the first case, which happened at the end of 2019 when Hong Kong was going through social unrest. And a student from another continent, he experienced something like this before in his home country. So when this happened, he did not understand what was going on, but when he saw what was happening outside, he got really worried. One day he talked to me about his coursework, but suddenly the conversation switched to the social unrest, switched to his anxiety, and he started crying in front of me. That was the first time a male research student, PhD student, crying in front of me. And he told me his feelings. So at that moment, I figured that this uncertain time affected students' academic performance, affected their mental health so much. And talking to them about the coursework, about academic matters alone is not enough anymore. We have to provide this kind of support. So from then on, I started building individual connections with my students, giving them phone calls to make sure they're okay when things are going really bad, and also arrange some individual meetings with them. But this is very easy to done with small class, like a class with 15 to 20 students. I know them in person. They know me well enough, so it's very easy to build the trust. But I also have a large class with several hundred students. In that case, I have to wait for students to approach me first. The third aspect mentioned by that framework was peer collaboration. Students cannot meet each other, but we have to provide enough opportunities for them to collaborate with each other. We have group projects on our course. Purely, our students can get together and go out, interview people, conduct interview, even partying with the domestic helpers they are interviewing. So they had a really good time with that. But now this is not a possible mission for everybody. So we fine-tune the project requirements, give them more options. They can focus on just literature review, or they can do online interview, anything, any way that is feasible for them. So last year, that's for 3 teams of in this class. One team focuses on literature review. One team conducted an online interview with the doctors and nurses from another country, and I also got a third team. If I remember correctly, interviewing somebody on campus. So just give them more choices of flexibility to dig into the topic. And at the same time, we also invited our alumni to meet our students through Zoom to tell, because my students are research students, and most of the time they conduct their research overseas, have a lot of international collaboration. But right now, this is so difficult. And they are also wondering what is going on overseas. And so our alumni come back through Zoom and talk to our students. But I believe collaboration, we haven't done enough yet. We can do more and do better later on. So we're still working on it. Here is some other support that we have been provided in the past 12 months. As I mentioned at the chat, in the chat box, our students are from different continents. So at the beginning of the pandemic, when I was scheduling my classes, I tried to consider all the time zones and make sure at least most students can come to the class with convenience. But it's very difficult to cover all the time zones. But at least we can take care of most of our students. And in the chat box, one colleague mentioned informational sourcing skills. I try to give our students some shortcuts to learning resources. We're using Canvas, and the library is merging their resources to Canvas. So research students usually they do not have to do not need us to help them search for literature or anything. But the thing is, most of our students are not local students. So some students are in the part of the world where the internet is not that good. And loading one page is already difficult for them. So because of that, I search on our libraries archive and put some resources, integrate these resources to Canvas. So once students log into Canvas, the learning management system, they can immediately get the resources so that they do not have to search the resources everywhere. Last February, the university established a proxy service to help the students with poor have the difficulty to access UST learning online resources. We established this proxy service to make sure they can reach the UST learning resources faster. Okay, but before that, we help our students with that manually. We are also using this app. I believe maybe you have some other apps that you can help that works well enough as well. But we're using this Delta Paths, and with this app, we can call our students through our mobile, but our students saw our caller ID is our office phone number, so that in this way, I can try to reach my students, no matter whether I'm in the office or at home, without releasing my phone number, and students can recognize it's a UST number, and they even can tell it's me, so they can pick up a phone call without any other concerns. So this kind of technology support helps our students and us very effectively in the past 12 months. But we have done these things, but I believe we got a long way to go, because every day we got new challenges. We do not know when the pandemic will end. So we got a long way to go. Even if the pandemic ends, education innovation cannot stop. So we need to keep exploring. So I look forward to listening to your experience share. Thank you very much, Ali.
Great. Catherine, do you want to go through the discussion questions? I forgot to make the breakout room. So if you want to go through those, I'll make the breakout rooms.
Okay, so now we're going to go to breakout room to have 30 minutes discussion. And in the room, please introduce yourself with your name and your institution. And each room, please have somebody to take care of the discussion so that you can give a discussion summary when we are back to the main room. And in the discussion room, we suggest that we can have a discussion on these 4 questions, like how we can encourage more peer collaboration while the social distancing isolation is in a way, and what kind of support your university has provided to this classroom, to the students outside the classroom, to give them better support, and how do the students learn about these resources, and anything else that you can think that your university or we can do better for our students. So let's go to the breakout room.
Great, I'll open them now.
Yeah.
And so 30 minutes, I guess the top of the hour is when we can come back together.
Yeah.
Reach them online, and so they had different strategies. I'm sorry, I cannot remember exactly what were those strategies, but they did have some strategies intended for those who are in the remote rural areas. So I think I remember one from Indonesia was saying that they had to do written materials, modules for those who are out there in the remote areas because they have limited access to internet. And in the Philippines, the one from the Rizal University, they were saying that they allowed the student and the teachers to rent or borrow in gadgets from the university on lease so they can use it for their classes, for their learning. And I was sharing that in the UP Open University, um, there are materials. I was saying that simulation materials are available out there in the internet, but you have to be very careful about ensuring cultural context or the application to the local setting. So I was saying that the teacher has the role to view the material first, look at how it applies, and if there are, it can be used, but you need to put in or some notation, footnotes on how it differs from the local setting so that it becomes useful to the students without having to make your own. But I said that in UP Open University, labor and delivery is definitely different. That's why we had to make something like our own. It's expensive, it's time consuming, but we had to do it. So that is, I think, what I can share about the group. Victor,
Great.
did I do justice to the group?
Great.
Yeah. You did very good, very good. I
Yes,
think that the main thing is that the main thing we understand is that basically she made her own video on what this delivery is in Philippines, but she cannot share it with us because it's copyrighted.
Sorry.
Well, that's great. Anyone else from that group have anything to share? Teresita's group.
Maybe my friend from Gajah Mada.
Thank you very much for the time. Maybe I would like to share our experience. I come from Faculty of Geography. We have come from the physical and also cultural geography. So this pandemic make us more effective and more creative to develop the learning education, because we must teach the field work, we must teach how to operate the field surveying tool or something like that. But we have a geographical information science portal, so we use the geo portal in our country, our university, and also we connect to the USGS, something like that. And our library open the access for the journal, for the ebook or something like that. So this pandemic make us creative and did not I mean we uh, what I would like to say, our students come from a lot of place that sometimes they come from the remote area, so we must think about that. Thank you very much.
Ali, I think that's all.
That's
Handing back to
great.
you from our group.
Great. Thank you so much. Well, I'm hearing lots of things in there about meeting students where they are. Catherine, anything else that makes you think about or summarize?
Should I summarize our discussion in room 4?
Sure,
Yeah.
that'd be great.
Okay. Maybe our discussion may not totally follow the discussion questions, but our colleagues did have a lot of great ideas. So we have a colleague who set up a forum. On the forum, she created some interactive activities for students to jump in and encourage their learning. And she also asked questions such as, what is your major challenge during the pandemic or something? So through these connections, she encouraged students active learning. And the second idea is about colleagues in her university. They adopted alternative assessment approaches, such as instead of exams, they anybody in room 4, please jump in if I mention anything incorrectly. Okay, so the students write individual reports or group reports instead of exams, or they give students shorter exams instead of letting students sitting there for quite some time. And the third idea, I really quite like that because it's totally new to me. So I need to give it a try. Our colleague used Turnitin to provide like feedback to the students, provide video comments instead of written comments to the students. And also she used Turnitin to provide individualized supervision to her master's students. This is quite interesting, the first time that I heard about it. Another idea is that a colleague mentioned that she arranged some Zoom meetings or in-person meetings before class enrollment to give students advice. One colleague mentioned something very important, and her idea is that although right now we are experiencing social distancing isolation, we should not just talk about academic matters. We should provide students social support. And although we cannot get together, we should continue provide extracurricular activities to the students. So she has done dancing classes, cooking classes, competitions online. This is kind of really amazing. And Vivian from the Chinese University of Hong Kong mentioned at Chinese University, although students cannot get together to have classes together, but the university provide equipment for students. Online learning also provide a space like classroom or some common area on campus. Students, if they want to come back, they can go to those places and continue their learning and receive learning support from the students. Anything else? If I miss anything, please feel free to jump in. Thank you, Maria. Yeah, I think this is everything from our room. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. What a wide diversity of types of ways to support students in the many varied types of needs that students have.
It's
Thank you.
interesting for dancing classes.
Yeah, that colleague mentioned that she wanted to give students more social support, so she did a lot of things.
How does she conduct the dancing classes?
I'm not very sure. Maybe just like a yoga class. While the instructor was dancing, a student just followed everything through the monitor, I guess.
I have a couple other colleagues who are doing that. They meet 10 minutes early and then do some quick yoga poses and say, I'm going to do this pose. And if you don't know it, here's a video that shows how to do this pose.
Wow.
Yeah.
Quite interesting.
Yes. All right. We have one more group for a summary. I think this was the group that Tina and Melissa were in, and then others. Who's the reporter for that group?
Tina?
Okay, 1 second. Yes. So I have a little bit of I make a little bit of notes and share, and please free to jump in. So I think many of our group members are from Philippines, and I think resources is an important part there. For example, from a local university, they need to rely on the software, which is free. So it makes them need to adapt to multiple different softwares, platforms for the faculties and then for the students. So I guess that's so some of them are hoping that they can have a more consistent way to be in one or two platforms, and the students can be familiar with how to engage properly. And some mention about the university also support provide the devices or equipment for the faculties and students to make sure they can access and to go online to join the classes. And also there's a lady mentioned, like recently all the the journal essays and publication are finally getting opened to everyone. So the doing the online research, they're able to access to the library or the journals they need. That's what I have. Oh, and then the another person mentioned about they have a regular group chat and discussions. I think that's important to regular catch up and maybe answer questions or deliver assignments, and people can the students can answer or ask questions during that regular discussion discussion. So I think that's helpful too. So anyone else from our team?
We talked a little bit at the very end about something that we're struggling with at my own university, and Honey had a great example, but basically how to ensure that students are prepared both for the class, for the level of whatever topic it is. And I give the example that I almost flunked out of my master's, I felt like, because I hadn't taken science classes in many years, but also making sure that they have a certain level of knowledge and skills relating to online, how to navigate the online system. And so having things like boot camps, or Honey mentioned like the entire month of January was like devoted to kind of getting people up to speed before they just jumped right in, which I think is a great idea.
Those are really great ideas all the way around. As we're listening to this, are there any other ideas that you come up that you'd like to share?
I guess this is Joey from the Philippines. I guess one thing that we need also as educators and also the students needs actually would be certain sessions that would serve as a breeder sessions, or as I have seen in secondary education, that the students do enjoy as well, that certain time and light moments with their instructors or their teachers, in order for them to actually get to know more, because the problem of distance education is it's too impersonal, it's mediated by technology. And one thing that adds to the cooperation and distressing would be certain sharing light moments. I guess the experience in the environment and the graduate school environment, while we share our thoughts and perspectives coming from our own challenges, do really help also in processing and sometimes keeping our feet on the ground on certain situations, not just from our experiences, but the experiences of our fellow learners and our faculty members.
Great, thank you. That's so nicely said. I think that when we can see each other as real people and see our faculty as real people, see fellow students as real people, it improves the learning environment for everyone. And our hierarchies are not always set up to allow for that. I think we've seen that very clearly over the past, since the pandemic. I have one last question that Catherine and I thought about for you, and this is a reflection question for everyone, and you can use the chat or you can unmute and share, which is what is one idea from this session today that you'd like to share with a colleague?
For me, I think it's Teresa's idea of producing your own locally, culturally adapted video about the event. I think that if that is shared around the world, it would be great, because then you will have more culturally adapted materials online instead of just materials coming from the developed world. I think now it's quite easy.
I'll have
Production is quite easy. I'm not telling about you. Don't worry. I'm just saying that. I'm saying that if we have more of this more of this type of materials, so people will be able to use the materials for teaching. Comparatively, healthcare system, compare different culture, belief. So they'll be easy. Teaching will be much more easier. Thank you.
Anyone else? Something from today's, Maria?
If I can add in, my personal impression was, listening colleagues sharing the difficulties that they have come across and the solutions that they have found, is that at least for me personally, and probably even for my university or the program in which I'm teaching, I think we have focused far too much on the academic side of things, how we make sure that the students get access to the learning material, to the academic learning material and get through it, and have paid very little attention to proactively prepare students solving problems, yes, when they arise, but proactively prepare them for prepare ourselves and students so that problems don't arise. I think it's something that we have not put enough effort to. It's not too late, because it's certainly going to be beneficial in the future, and it's been a very important learning experience for me to join today.
Great, thank you. I was thinking about that in terms of the app that Catherine said that you're using for contacting students.
You mean the phone?
Yeah, on the phone. Yeah, I have colleagues who are using a Discord app, which is something that students in North America often use for gaming, and they've just used it in their classrooms. And suddenly it's creating this really easy interactive way, because it's a place where students already are, to proactively push out information about mental health or about study skills or about anything else that's not directly the academics. Yeah, Discord is very interactive.
What other app? Ellie, only Discord, is it?
Discord.
All right. Thank you.
Yep. And I know that there's different apps in different parts of the world that work better than other apps.
All right.
Great. And Delta Path. Thank you, Catherine. That's the one you're using, is Delta Path.
Yeah, data path is just allow you to make phone calls using your office numbers, so that you do not have to release your personal numbers to so many students, because at school level, I have around 1,000 students. I don't want to post my phone number there. But with this, they can just call my office number and immediately seek help if I can provide any support. So, yeah.
That's great. Great. Any last ideas for things people want to try?
Hi, Ellie. I'm Vivian.
Hi, Vivian.
I would like to share with colleagues, actually. I'm sorry that I came in late, but I still learn a lot and hear a lot of voices from various colleagues from various countries. But one thing that I learned with the virtual platform, in Hong Kong at least, one thing that I'm trying is, because now with the Zoom teaching, that actually enhance more collaboration globally. So because of the Zoom, I could actually kickstart one of the interprofessional education course in Hong Kong, along with the University of Toronto. And that's the reason why I was late to join it, because I was doing another Zoom meeting with my UT colleagues. And that actually shortened the distance, and I could link up two different cultural, very different, the healthcare system, very different students to come forward, and we could learn from each other. And not only that, from the students level, we could actually start collaborating. And also with the teachers level, we will start to actually apply grants to support this new pedagogy initiative. And I could actually kickstart something that I could actually continue the interprofessional education in Hong Kong. So I think this is actually one thing that I want to share. And the other thing is actually I want to share from what I learned from the students is actually they are Zoom fatigue. Online fatigue, and it's also with the teachers also. But at the same time, we try to actually incorporate some of the mindfulness training for our students. And it's quite easy to also do the online mindfulness training as well. And these ideas also initiated by the students. So very soon that we will actually kickstart, and recently our students actually got some funding from the university to kickstart some of the mental wellness program for the other peers during this particular social distancing and also virtual teaching and learning platform. They could actually get more mental wellness and mental awareness to students, and from the peer support point of view. And we could actually feed all this back to our other colleagues, our teaching colleagues, to actually get them know about this program, and students could actually help out other students as well. So this is actually something that I would like to share with all of you. And thank you for organizing such a wonderful event. I learned so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Vivian. I love these ideas about these international collaborations. I think that the upcoming case competition that Melissa talked about is a great example of being able to bring international students together. Yes, and the mindfulness. Edmar has a comment in the chat about how are we providing care, and I imagine mental well-being for our faculty. And I know our institution has started something around mindfulness for faculty and staff as well. So applicable to students and for the rest of us too. Great. I'm going to share my screen for just another quick moment. This is our third part series of these APRU teaching in virtual environments. And in this series, we have 2 more sessions. The next one, Maria, who's here from Nagoya, she and I will be thinking about creating active learning environments. And then for the third session, I did not have an opportunity to update it, but we have a colleague who runs the Center for Teaching and Learning at the University of San Francisco de Quito in Ecuador, who will be joining us at the end of April. So we're really looking forward to the next 2 sessions, and we'll be glad to have you join us. Any other last parting words, Catherine?
I have learned so much from our colleagues, but so many initiatives. Sometimes it's just small actions, but makes significant difference in this uncertain time for students and also for our colleagues. So thank you so much for being here, and thanks to Ellie and Melissa for inviting me. Very nice to meet you all here, and look forward to discussing and working with you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you to both of you, to Ellie and Kate, and for facilitating that. I learned a lot. I always come away from these sessions with like so many exciting ideas and things I want to try and implement and recommend. So I appreciate everyone joining for this first session, and I hope that you'll continue to join for the second and third part of this. So Maria will be speaking, will be facilitating next. And if you signed up for the certificate, also we're keeping track. So if you need a certificate of participation for this series after the third session, we'll be sending, if you let us know on your registration, we'll be just sending those out automatically. So thanks everyone. Great to see you all.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Good evening, good
Bye.
night, good morning, everybody.
See you on the next
Thank you.
session.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, I'm running to my interview.
Okay, good luck, Melissa.
Okay.
Thanks, Melissa. See you.
Okay, I'll follow up.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maria, to join us.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Catherine, so much. Really, really great presentation. I learned a lot. And I
There's so
love
many
that you
great
found the
ideas.
recent literature. That makes me happy.
Interesting thing is, a year ago in March or April, in May, I was searching for literature to share some information with the student, but I could not find anything. But now, so much literature on the internet. It was amazing.
That's great.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you. And I see you next time.
Have a great day. I'll see you at the end of the month.
Have a great
Thank you,
day and good
Ellie.
evening.
Okay, thank you, Tina.
Bye.
Okay. See ya.